Hey, Husker fans, Sam McKewon with the Omaha World-Herald. This is the Omaha World-Herald's Nebraska spring football game preview. This is the last time you're going to see a game with that turf, right? The two-tone turf, they're getting rid of that, and they're just putting in one color. I'm kind of happy about that. We're going to break this into two different parts. This part is the offense. Now, it's possible that Nebraska will just have an offense-defense scrimmage on Saturday, but we're going to focus specifically on the offense. We'll go position by position all the way from quarterbacks to offensive line. Let's start with the QBs. Obviously, the big story there is the newcomer Casey Thompson, the Texas transfer. How has he done in camp? Well, we haven't seen a lot of him. We haven't even seen him throw in warm-ups. The media has not been able to see anything. So this will be the first chance that we really get to see him in sort of a Husker uniform. And how's that going to look? I think it might look okay. Thompson is known as being a pretty good pocket passer. He's got a good leadership component to him. He's relatively accurate on shorter throws, and he had a track record at Texas of throwing touchdowns, which is exactly what you're supposed to do as a quarterback. It'll be interesting to watch Thompson and Logan Smothers. I don't think either one of them has maybe the strongest arm in the world, but can they be reasonably accurate from that sort of 0 to 15-yard range? Can they hit guys in stride? Can they make plays? Can they make the thing function in a way that works for everybody? I think that's the thing to watch for. The younger guys, Chubba Purdy, hard to say, right? He was banged up in spring. How much is he going to play? Are they going to let him get out there? Is he going to be doing some teamwork? Hard to say. I think Chubba Purdy's kind of hitting a reset button. I think it's going to be at least a year before you see the full Chubba Purdy in some ways, and he's all the way back and completely healthy and completely confident. Heinrich Haarberg, it's kind of a big spring game for him. I think he's got to play well. I mean, I think he's poised to play well. He's got an advantage over Purdy and Thompson and Smothers in height. So Haarberg can look over the defense, and maybe there's some things he can get done. They're not going to want him to run around like a wild colt all over the field. They want to try to keep this thing in the pocket, so we'll see how he adjusts to that. Richard Torres, we'll see how much he does, but that'll be sort of a question mark there. Let's move to running backs. And I think this is the position that might have gotten better in spring than any other position, maybe on the entire team. I think the vibe coming out of spring camp is, hey, well, you know what? Nebraska's got some running backs. One of those is Anthony Grant, the JUCO transfer who just got here from New Mexico Military Institute. He previously played at Florida State, and the book on him, what we've heard, is that when he gets to the second level, he does something with it. And of course, there's that first level where you got to get through the traffic, the defensive linemen and the inside linebackers. If you get about 7 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, can you make something happen that isn't necessarily there by setting up a defender or accelerating or using your speed? And I think the word on Grant is yes. The answer is yes. If we can get him through the line of scrimmage, he's going to do something fun on the second level of the defense. I'll be curious to watch that. Jaquez Yant might be the most physically talented running back on the team. Okay, he's a big guy, but he has the moves of about a 205 or 10 pound guy, and he's about 230. Yant, if he runs behind his pads and is able to make a guy miss, I like what that picture looks like, and he came in at weight. It looks like his conversations with Brian Applewhite have gone well. Ramir Johnson is sort of the returning starter. I think there's still an absolute role for him on this team, especially as a pass catcher, maybe even as a pass blocker. Ramir might be the guy that becomes the starter, but you don't necessarily have to lean on him 20 to 25 times. There's younger guys in there too. Obviously, Marquise Stepp, Gabe Irvin still coming back from a knee injury from last year. We'll see if he plays. Moving to tight ends. Well, that tight end spot is interesting. I don't anticipate you're going to see Travis Vokalek. You might see a little bit of him. He's been working a little bit in spring camp. You're not going to see Chris Hickman. You're not going to see Thomas Fedoni. Both those guys are out with injuries. So then it becomes A.J. Rollins, James Carney, and Nate Borkircher. And Borkircher's gotten a lot of positive pub so far in camp. Rollins has too. Rollins is the prep product. He didn't get a ton of chances in high school, I got to be honest. He just didn't get a lot of opportunities to show what he could do, and I suspect that he's getting more opportunities now, and it'll be interesting to see how he plays. The question with those tight ends probably isn't going to be their ability to pass catch. It probably isn't. The question is going to be, and this is even when Hickman and Fedoni come back, can these guys really hunker down and block? You know Travis Vokalek can do that. You know that. The other guys are kind of adjuster types. I mean, I could see Rollins and Borkircher maybe being those guys that could be inline tight ends, but at times you just got to get down in a power set. You got to have two tight ends on the field and block some dudes. And I know that Vokalek can do it. They're going to be looking for a second guy. Chancellor Brewington's banged up, but he wouldn't necessarily be that guy anyway, so that'll be something to watch. Do they have a heavy set tight end, or is that something they look for in the transfer portal? Receiver. Well, hey, Trey Palmer's been a hit in camp, according to all of his teammates. Obviously, the five-star transfer from LSU. Good player, probably going to operate a lot out of the slot, big play guy. I'm more interested in looking at some of the younger guys on that team. I think you can feel pretty good about what Palmer will bring to the table based on what he did at LSU. I think you can feel reasonably good about what Wyatt Lever and Oliver Martin are going to bring to the table right now. I'm interested to see if Alante Brown has really improved as much as his coaches and teammates say he has. I'm interested to see what Camonte Grimes and Sean Hardy and Latrell Neville can do. Will we get a glimpse of Victor Jones? And what about Brody Belt, who is a guy that I think has emerged in camp and has become a really interesting story because of his versatility and his ability to catch on to this offense. It'll be curious to see how many catches Belt gets, how many targets he gets, and how many targets a lot of these young guys get. I don't know that this is going to be the same group of wide receivers in May that it is right now. That's just the best way to put that. I think you're going to see some guys on the move, and you might even see Nebraska add some guys. Finally, the offensive line. First of all, they have a lot of depth on the offensive line. They don't have a lot of experience, but they got a lot of guys. And that's a better situation than the defensive line, okay? So offensively, you've got to figure out who's going to be the center, who's winning that battle between Trent Hickson and Ethan Piper. I think it matters what they do in the spring game, and we'll see how that goes. I think they feel pretty good about what they've got going on at the guard spots. Nuri Nwili on one side, and then I think you've got sort of a combination of guys on that other side. It could be a Piper, it could be a Kevin Williams. Look to see how those transfers, Kevin Williams and Hunter Anthony, do. And then because Turner Corcoran and Teddy Prohaska are out, you have to look at what the tackles are doing. Bryce Benhart is there, Brant Banks. How do they function as pass blockers, right? I think the run blocking, if that's what you really want to focus on, you can get pretty good there. And I think Donovan Rilla's teaching style is going to help. Pass blocking is just being good at it, and you got to do it a lot of different times. And I'll be curious to see if Nebraska's offensive line, both that first and second unit, allows run-throughs where guys get to the quarterback and they touch him and they sack him. That will not be something you want to see. So I'll be curious to see how they pass off rushers, how they handle pressure, things like that, because even if you get a lot better in your run offense, if your pass game, if you're a sieve as pass blockers, that doesn't really help your team. And I'm not sure at this moment that I would say that Nebraska's pass blocking offensive line this year is better than last year, because they lost Cam Jurgens, and he was probably the best pass blocker they had. So I'll be curious to see how that looks. Okay, that is the preview for Nebraska's offense for the spring game. For the Omaha World-Herald, I'm Sam McKewon. Thanks, Husker fans.